Yeah, Frank Woods. I'm 47 years old, born and raised in Dillingham. I've been fishing about 40 years here in Bristol Bay. We're in Kulukak, Togiak Herring Fishery right now. It's a beautiful day.
This photo journey starts in Dillingham, Alaska on the shores of the Togiak River, which for most of the wintertime is a waterway of ice. Chunks floating downstream, the banks coated with it, and nearby lakes and ponds thick with ice. The commercial fishing fleet, which is part of the Bristol Bay fishery, sits on dry land, waiting for spring, when the rivers will flow free again. And when the spring comes and the Togiak is mostly free of ice, it is again a navigational waterway, and it's time for the boats to come out of dry dock. We leave Dillingham and head out on the Togiak River. Our destination, Kulukak Bay. Total transit time approximately 12 hours out on the open ocean.
First things first is when he gets his thumbs up or go ahead, we're going to toss the ball, toss the anchor. That's going to anchor the far end of the net. We're going to start backing up and setting on it. As soon as we get to the other end, we'll hook the other anchor to that end of the net, and the net will stay stationary and we can back off the net. That's pretty much it. Then we wait. We can probably fill the boat in 2 sets and 2 poles if they're big ones. So it's going to be a lot of fish.
And what's the storage capacity on this boat?
15 tons.
15 tons.
Under the hatches.
15 under the holes. And then you have deck load.
Yeah, and we can
Probably fit like 20, 25 tons on here.
20, another 5 tons probably on the deck.
So you would just leave it sitting on the deck?
Yep.
Wow.
So there'll be fish up to those rails back there, as long as it's not going out. So.
When I spent time with the crew of the Megan Dee in May of 2013, the Togiak Herring Fishery at that time was the largest herring fishery in the state of Alaska, with 24 seiners and 37 gillnetters participating. The season opened at noon on May 11th with steady fishing daily through May 17th. After that, the level of fishing went up and down based on the weather and the capacity of the nearby floating processors. The season ultimately closed at noon on May 28th. As the first commercial fishery of the season, the Togiak Herring Fishery provides an early and important economic boost to the Bristol Bay region. In 2013, the catch was valued at $2.88 million, calculating based on a $100 ton payout. For the gillnetters, that was a total of 8,552 tons of herring caught in the season.
a boat after you. Holy Hannah. You don't look familiar. I don't know you.
I got there.
Where you want us? Midship? What are we doing? Oh.
Humor and power naps are an important way of dealing with the constant, non-stop routine, day and night, of laying out gill nets, hauling in nets full of herring, stuffing your boat full of fish, and heading to a nearby tender to deliver your catch. Once alongside the tender, the crew will work to transport the fish to the tender, using these large hoses that suck the herring out of the fishing boat and deliver it to the deck of the awaiting tender. Once the herring is on board the tender, the crew will use these chutes to move the herring along into the cold storage holds of the tender, where the fish will stay until it is delivered to the floating processing facilities. One of the crew members on the tender will conduct a statistical sampling of the catch, looking for the quality of the fish and also to provide an estimate of the amount of herring roe harvested. Since this is a sac roe fishery, the most economically important part of the harvest is the herring roe itself. With their catch delivered to the tender, the crew will head back out again and resume fishing. The routine will continue day and night, and a crew will keep operating within the fishery as long as it is open and the processors are still accepting fish.
Hi, my name's Logan Brandstetter. I'm 25. I've been commercial fishing for almost 8 years now, ever since I graduated high school. 6 years up here salmon fishing. This is my first year gillnet and herring, and then a couple years on and off on big boats, dragging out on the Bering Sea. Originally I'm from the Oregon coast, Newport area, but now I live in Boise, Idaho.
My name's Justin Plyer. I'm 28 years old. I grew up at the lake at Kulukak. Currently live in Dillingham. Bought a place and moved back to Dillingham. I've been fishing for 15 years. This will be my 8th year on my own boat. I'm currently fishing for Frank Woods doing herring. This is my first year doing that, so it's a good learning experience. I've procured a market for next year for doing herring with my own boat. Hoping to have my new boat built to do it with.
I was lucky. During my 5 days on board the Megan Dee in May of 2013, we had amazing weather. Every day was sunny, clear, and calm. But my favorite time of the day was the morning. The mornings with their crisp, cool temperatures, warm golden light were just fantastic. Everything just glowed. The boats, the landscape, the gulls, the gill nets, and I reveled in it as a photographer. But the crew, they kept working. While I was enjoying the light, they still had fish to catch, working every day, every night, like clockwork. As long as the tenders were waiting for fish, they were going to be working to deliver it.
Just like everything else, at least in the federal system, the bureaucracy is right in front of you where the politics don't get in the way of making decisions. At least that's my experience.
Well, my first boat I fished when I was 17 years old. It was called the Arizona, a little white wiggly. My dad was supposed to buy it for me and my brother, and the deal fell through, so we ended up, I fished, going to college. I graduated when I was 17, and I came over here, Togiak, to make college money. And when we got done hauling the boat up and winterizing it, I went to college, came back in the spring, the boat was gone. That was pretty disappointing. And then my dad felt bad enough that he helped me get into fishery. The boat I own right now is the other boat I own besides this one is the Deep Valley. I've had for 25 years. I bought when I was 19 years old. And I went and seen a credit counselor, made sure I caught up my taxes, put application into the Alaska boat loan program, Department of Commerce, I guess it would be. Back then they had an office in Dillingham, and yeah, I bought the boat when I was 19, and I had to have an annual income of $2,300. I had to have a market, and I had to have insurance, and to qualify for the loan application. Dragnet Fisheries took me on. I worked 3 jobs. I was a janitor at night, custom janitorial. Started out at $10 an hour. I was a trash man. I would go pick up 3 times a week residential garbage for $12.50 an hour. Then I was a prep mechanic during the day for AC Marine. So I'd go to work at probably 7, 8 o'clock at night till 3, 4 o'clock in the morning, go home and sleep till 9 o'clock, and be a prep mechanic from 9 to 3 every day. And it was a little more intense 3 times a week to go residential, take my lunch hour or schedule it around my work schedule to do the residential garbage in Dillingham. So I was a sanitation engineer and a prep mechanic before I became a permit holder and a boat owner.
The time I spent on the Megan Dee in Kulukak Bay during the Togiak Herring Fishery in 2013 was probably the most fun I had doing the field work for my book Where Water is Gold. It provided an important insight into the commercial fishing way of life, but it also echoed experiences I'd had in other parts of Bristol Bay, showing a warmth and a generosity of the people who live there and those who make Bristol Bay a part of their way of life. The fishery has changed over the years. As recently as 2018, there were only 3 gill netters operating in the fishery. But Frank Woods is still one of them. And I can't thank him and his crew enough for the time I spent with them during that chilly May.
Thank you.